I said I might have to suck for us to be able to move forward. I'm gonna have to suck for us to move forward in our level of living, in our peace, in a step closest to our freedom. Mm-hmm. I gotta suck because I have to go do it. I have to go do this. All right, we back at it. It's High Heads Podcast. Second episode. We got a special guest in. I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
I'm Caprielle Finney. I'm 24. Reside here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And yeah.
What do you do? Tell the people what you do.
What do I do? So I'm a teeth whitening technician. I've been in the dental field for about 5 years. I'm also an educator. I sell products in wholesale and bulk, equipment as well. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing for the past 3 years.
Dope. All right, so before we get all up into the interview, how's your week?
So how's my week?
Mm-hmm.
My week went well. My weekend was a bust, but my weekend was well. My week went well.
Wow.
I mean, I had plans. My cousin was supposed to come up. We didn't, end up doing anything that we said we were going to do. And you know me, when I'm not productive, I feel like I just don't feel myself. So I feel like because I had plans set, I didn't have anything else scheduled to do. And because the plans didn't go through, I actually didn't do anything.
Wow.
And that alone was just not good for me. I gotta stay busy. I have so many other things that I could be doing. It doesn't make sense for me not to do anything just because my plans didn't go through. I didn't have it on the schedule to do it.
So you just stopped everything because
I slept in. I slept in. I was just chilling. Man, it was just not what it could have been. I could have been doing a lot more.
Right. Okay.
And you?
My week, dang, I can't even remember my week. What did I do? It was a busy week.
Busy?
I mean, business
Busy's
stuff.
good.
Busy, business stuff. Yesterday was dope because I got a little break from doing homeschool.
Oh, yeah?
So, yesterday was pretty dope. But all I did was work all day.
Mm-hmm.
Did another podcast episode on probably, I don't know, like 3 days ago. Can't remember.
Okay.
Busy. I've just been busy. I've been so busy lately, man. So busy. Even on my Mondays, like my day off, and I'm still busy.
Right. You gotta be though, because if you don't do nothing, I'm telling you, it's gonna
right.
be.
And I have goals. I have these big freaking goals, man. So I don't even take no days off, but it's worth it. It's worth it. At the end of the day, it's worth it. So good week. Busy week is a good week.
Yeah, busy is good.
Right.
Busy is always good.
So all right, let's go back. So how did you get to where you are now? Let's go back.
Oh, all right. Back how far? The beginning?
What molded you? What's the molding of Caprielle Finney?
Right. So I feel like, all right, so let's start in school, right?
Hold on. All right.
So what was I saying? Back in school. So like I was saying before we got started, I was not the smartest kid in school by any means. I was in that IEP class. I definitely had to leave when, it was time for testing. Those people, I was one of those people.
Wow.
And a little backstory, like, I don't want to give too much where I was going or anything like that, but they would give me all of the answers. Wow. They'd give me all of the answers. So it got to a point where I knew that it wasn't cool to do that, and I could have graduated out of that. I didn't have to go anymore. Like when I left from Susquehanna to Still High, I didn't have to go to those classes. However, I kept going to those classes because why not? They're giving me all the answers. Every time I go in there, they were just like, all the tests. They gave me the answers. It's like they kind of like passed you through.
Right.
Give me 1 second. So I stayed in that class. And I kind of made it cool. You know what I mean? Right. I was cool, so if I was in there, it was like, it's kind of cool. It is what it is. But once I left that school, we moved to Harrisburg. And I didn't want to go to Harrisburg High School. I played sports, basketball, and it was like a rival. So it was like, I can't leave, this school to go to that school.
Right.
It didn't feel right. So I started doing online schooling, Connections Academy. It took me 2 years. It took me 2 months to gain like all of the books, all of the computers, like everything that I needed in order to do my schooling, and I was not able to catch up. 2 months worth of work, and they needed me to. So at that point, I tried to go back to Still High. My dad still lived in Stillton, and they told me that they were going to hold me back.
Whoa.
Wanted to hold me back, and I'm like, I'm not going for that, right? Not the brightest person. I'm not very good at reading. Like, that was what it is. Like, outside of that, I was pretty cool, but reading and writing just wasn't my thing. So anyway, I decided that I was just going to go and get my GED. I went to Tri-County OIC, which was like down the street. I lived uptown, so it was, right down the street. And I went there. I tested college level.
Okay.
And so I decided that I was going to, still go through their tutoring that they had, because I didn't feel like I knew everything. Like, I didn't feel like I could take that test right away and it just be done with. Right. Like, how can I take this test when I didn't even, go through 11th grade or 12th grade yet? Right. You're saying that I scored college level, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
So the tutoring, the teaching that they had available for me was only 2 days a week, 4 hours a day, which is 8 hours for the whole week. So in that time that I had free time, I decided that I was going to work. And that's when I went to Taco Bell. That's when I started working with you guys. That's when I started working at Champs, right? So boom, really fast, I collected 3 jobs. And it actually got to the point where I wasn't even like, I would go to those classes, but I kind of got sidetracked. Like, I was working, already doing my thing, like already making money, and I kind of just forgot about even getting the GED. Now, 18 years old, I got pregnant with Lola, and I decided that it was something that I needed to have. I haven't really had to use it just yet, but I've decided that it was something that I wanted to have when I got pregnant with her. So I stopped going to those classes, and I ended up just going and taking a GED class, and I passed it the first time. Everything was cool, and I'm like, dang, I should have been took that. Why did I even waste all of that time? But anyway, that was 2016 when I got that. I would have graduated 2015. So after I got that, I was still working 3 jobs. Like I said, I was pregnant with Lola at 18, and I started working at 14. So 14 through 19, even after I had Lola, I took off for a very little bit of time. However, I went back to work. I went back to work working those 3 jobs for a couple months, after I had her. And it wasn't until my mom told me, like, hey, you need to spend a little more time with Lola. Like, you working too much, And when I brought Lola into this world, I knew financially I was cool, but I didn't realize that was because we're at the expense of me, not being around her that much.
Right.
So I had to take a step back. I figured, I can't work 3 jobs no more, and I was jumping all over the place. I learned everything. I was working, orthodontics, doing teeth, doing braces, and that's kind of where I got the whole teeth whitening thing from. I was doing administrative work for my dad. Once I got my GED, I thought to myself, like, I wanted to go to school for business administration. My dad, he owns a multi-million-dollar business, and he told me himself, like, no, you don't need to go to school to learn that type of stuff. And when I heard that, it kind of sounded crazy, because it's like, why is my dad not wanting me to go to college? I thought that was something he would want me to do. But he didn't want me to do that, and it made sense because I was, I'd be in debt.
Right.
I'd be in debt, and I learned fast that there was no reason for me to do that. If I want to go to school to get, a business administration degree under my belt, for what? To put it on my resume to work for someone else? I don't need that to work for myself.
Yeah.
It's still something that I wanted to learn. So what I did was, I worked with my dad. He has a whole, group of people, administrative team, bookkeepers. He has accountant under his belt. So I just sat under them, and that was all of the learning that I needed to know that wasn't what I wanted to do. Right? If I would have went to college for this, I don't want to be behind the scenes. I don't want to be, filing papers, keeping, doing the payroll for someone else's business.
Yeah.
So, it made a lot of sense, and I thank him for that, because it saved me a lot of time by not going to school. Now, I don't not recommend people going to college. I feel like it's probably a very good experience. I feel like you probably gain a lot of friends, in that circle of people that you're with in college. I feel like Like, I haven't been there, so I don't know. But, and it's definitely dope just to learn as much as you can. But if you don't have to, there's no reason really to, get yourself in debt. I feel like that's what the school teaches, they push you to go to college so that you can, be an employee, so you can be employable. And that's really not what it's all about. The 5% of, the world that's entrepreneurs, most of them probably didn't.
Right.
Did you?
No.
Well,
I went for like a year.
For a year, but that's not what molded you to the person that you are today.
No way.
It's the creativity. It's, your mindset. It's what you know outside of what they taught you. Now, that probably is like a plus, but it's not something that's needed.
Mm-hmm.
So I say all of that to say that I finally decided that I needed to work less and make more.
Right.
And when I started, the first thing it was, listen, I told you I was doing the payroll for my dad's business, and I was realizing that I wasn't making as much work behind the scenes that they were making out, doing the work, flagging and stuff. So $40 an hour, I decided that I was going to do that. That eliminated my little cage job. That eliminated the $15 I was making at the orthodontics. I worked all three of those jobs because I wasn't able to make, as much as I needed at one job.
Right.
So when I decided that I was going to do that and get out in the field, it was like a game changer for me because, who's making $40 an hour, right? So that was good enough at the moment, but I knew it still wasn't the end for me. Like, I always want to kind of like better myself and learn more. I got into doing nails. I went to school for nail technology, and that's because, or I shouldn't say because, but when we're laid off, I only work half a season. So we end up being laid off around October to March. And so with that being said, October to March? October to March. That's a long time. It sounded crazy, but October to March is like when we, are not working. And a lot of the times, like, we still are getting paid from our job. That's why we get paid so much for when we're laid off. But I would use that time that I was down to kind of learn different things. Gotcha. So one of the years, I went to school, like I said, for nail technology. I thought, not even that I wanted to do nails, but I wanted to open up a salon. I got certified for microblading, certified for lashes. I got certified for teeth whitening. And teeth whitening kind of clicked. I was doing nails, but teeth whitening, made the most sense to me. When I was doing nails, it was hard on my back, it was hard on my hands, my fingers, the fumes. It was just, attitude. You have to please people with what they want, but they don't want to pay, the prices that it actually takes. It's taking me 3 hours to do this. I can't, undercut myself. So I ended up taking a step back from that. And that's when I realized that I was making $125 at that time an hour, doing like 15 minutes worth of work doing teeth whitening. And so like that was even better than that $40 an hour, so now I'm kind of moving up and I'm starting to realize, and I feel like, a lot of entrepreneurs, realize that when you have something tangible that you can like sell, to the next person, it's like when you're no longer like, giving your time for money, it's totally different. I'm doing this business class right now, and my coach, she kind of tells this story about how she kind of got into, selling things and marketing and just kind of like being her own brand. And her backstory is like she was working a regular job. She quit that job. She went to like this warehouse. They gave her a box, They gave her a box full of blow-up robots. And the box full of blow-up robots, she's like, all right, cool, thanks for this, but what am I going to do with this? And they're like, well, I want to sell these for $10 a piece. As long as I get $10, I don't care what you sell them for, you can keep the rest of the money. So what she did was, when she left that conversation, she had to go get some gas. So she blew up her thing, and she took it in the gas station with her. And it caused so much attraction that they were like, the parents were like, oh, my kid would love that. Where did you get that? What you do? She's like, oh, I actually sell them. So what she do? She sold them for $15 a piece. She said she sold over a dozen of them that first stop. And when she was able to make, that little bit of money that fast, she realized like this is a game changer.
Right.
You know, it's goofy, yeah, but at the end of the day, people will pay for, you know, something, and if they're now I'm exchanging products for my time, right? So she said all she did was like drive around, go anywhere she wanted to go. She'd go to the zoo, she'd go to, you know, the library, she'd go anywhere that she wanted to go throughout the day, just live her regular life. But she would take that robot everywhere she goes, and everyone always wanted to buy it. And she said, you can imagine the second thing that she did, she put the price up, you know, to $20. So now they're getting 10, she's getting $10 for it. And she was just making so much money off that, and she never looked back. She never looked back, never was going to go back to a regular job where she was, you know, exchanging that time for money. And that's kind of like the same situation for me. I don't know, is that like the same for you?
Absolutely.
I feel like it's all different, but once you have something like that, it changes your outlook on life.
Yep. I remember the first day I made, it was like $2,000-something a day, and I was like 21 or 20. I was like, oh yeah, and this is without effort. It wasn't even like me trying hard to make it happen. And like, bro,
it's very easy.
Oh, this is different.
It's very easy.
You know, so yeah, it was definitely, that was a game changer for me as well. Yep.
It's super easy. I mean, to kind of piggyback on that, like, I got to the point where now that I'm teaching, you know, I spoke on how much I was able to make, you know, with the teeth whitening, $125. If I'm like fluctuating the prices, $75 an hour, still that's a lot for me to do 15 minutes worth of work. But when I started teaching, you know, and they say, you know, when you start putting other people in position to win, like that's when you're going to win even more. And so it took time for me to understand that, because I'm like, oh, you know, am I going to mess my thing up by teaching the next person? And when I realized, like, no, you know what I mean, I'm not going to mess, you know, there's enough people, there's enough opportunity, you know, in this world for everyone to eat. You know what I mean? Not everyone's going to do it. So this, you know, 35 people that I taught how to do it, you know, if they're eating, that's not taken from me at all. And when I introduced that, I was able to make $1,200 in 2 to 3 hours by certifying them to do something that only takes 15 minutes. Right. So I kind of stepped into that, because when I did it for 2 years, I was like, dang, this is a game changer for me. You know what I mean? And I kind of wanted to give back somehow to the community. I wanted to like teach someone else how to do that. You know, if I got it, why can't I teach someone else to do it? And so I started teaching other people to do it. And we're going to take like a step back, and we're opening up the spa right now. And I'm going to do like meetings, you know, with my students, so that we can kind of like gain clarity on where we're going, and just do a little more of, you know, coaching and, you know, with marketing and different things like that. I'm going to open up the spa to them as well. And it's just going to be super dope. Super dope. I realized, I guess, along the way, I don't know. Should we talk about the other stuff that we're doing?
Not yet.
All right.
All right.
I'm not gonna get into
So
that.
all right. So, what are some barriers you had to face? Some obstacles, some stresses. Like, what are some things?
I mean, being an entrepreneur is not easy by any means. Like, you're going from, and when we're talking about, you know, like it's being easier than working a regular job. Now, when you're working that 9 to 5, you know, from 9 to 5, I'm going to make this much.
Absolutely.
And, you know, at the end of the week, I'm going to have this much. At the end of the month, I'm going to have this much. Now, if I take off, you know, a day, I'm not going to have this much. But
you can calculate.
You can calculate, you know, what you're what you're going to be able to make for that month, and having different expenses as far as rent and bills and just like little things, you know, that you have throughout your life. You don't know, you know what I mean? Like, what's going to go on. Like, it's kind of like a hit or miss. Like, I've had, you know, months where I made over 10K, you know, and I had months where I made nothing. So it's like, I think that's my biggest downfall, you know, kind of like getting consistency. Now, those 10K, you know, months, I've learned, you know, take that 10K, don't spend that 10K, because you are going to have months like that. But it takes time to learn that stuff. You know, you get that 10K, you're like, oh, I'm going to get 10K next month. Like, I'm going to just spend this. We're going on a trip. We getting this fit. We getting that.
Absolutely.
We going on, you know, dinner dates every night. Like, it's just something that you gotta kind of adapt to.
So outside of that, what else? Any other obstacles come in? Like during your journey of like building your teeth whitening and all that, like what barriers,
Well, I'm a mom, and I mean, you see, she's in the background. I don't know if you guys heard her a couple times calling me. She's trying to get her phone to work. But, I mean, that's probably one of my biggest things, too. It's time consuming. We're not working 9 to 5. We're working 24 hours. And a lot of my job is on my phone, and it don't look like I'm working. It looks like I'm playing, and she don't understand that. My family doesn't understand that, and everyone thinks I'm just sitting around doing nothing when I'm, on InstaShot, creating, or when I'm marketing, or when I'm texting people back, booking appointments, or just brainstorming alone. Like, people don't understand that if they don't have that mindset, if they're not doing the same thing that you're doing. So I feel like that's very hard. I feel like that's one of my biggest problems, I guess.
Okay. So what do you do for what do you do for peace?
For peace?
Yeah, to just die, because business, it takes up a lot of time. Like you said, it's so consuming.
Right.
So what do you do to try to get that balance back, or try to get some type of peace back?
It's been hard.
Right.
It's been hard because I told you I have this problem where if I'm not doing something, I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Absolutely.
Or and that bothers me more than being busy.
Right.
Me not doing something bothers me more. It causes what's the word? When you're
anxiety.
But depression.
Depression.
I get depressed when I'm
I do kind of too. I ain't gonna front.
Yeah,
I do too.
Because I'm so hard on myself.
Right.
So.
And you have bigger goals. You know what I mean? So who has time to just sit around and just be like, yeah, I'm just going to sit here.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I do. Sometimes it happens, but I'm telling you, when I do it, I'm definitely down on myself, and I have to be like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess I like to eat.
Right.
I like to eat. Right. I go on spend some money on some food or something. That's not the best thing to do, but I like to eat. I feel like that's, when I can kind of just put my phone down and eat and feel like I'm not putting my phone down for no reason. If my hands is moving, if I'm doing something, you know what I mean? Because if I'm not, then I feel like I need to be on my phone.
Absolutely.
Spending time with my daughter. Right. But even that, I can't lie. It kind of.
It's still, you feel that pull still.
I still feel the pull.
Absolutely.
If I'm at the park playing, that's not fun for me. It's fun for her, and I enjoy that time. But
I struggle too. Especially now for me, this year, I'm so I'm trying to focus so much on my goals, and I told my family, yo, this year I might suck. Y'all got a lot of good years in me.
Right.
I said, but this year in particular, I might suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I said I might have to suck for us to be able to move forward. I'm gonna have to suck for us to move forward in our level of living, in our peace, and a step closer to our freedom. Mm-hmm. I gotta suck because I have to go do it. I have to go do this. You know what I mean? So I can't sit and play with y'all for hours no more at a time. Mm-hmm. I can't run around with y'all at the park for 3 hours. I can't. You know what I mean? I got a half hour for you.
Right.
I got a half hour. Accept it. We're going to maximize this half hour. Mm-hmm. But I got to get back to it. You know what I mean? And like you said, most of your work's on the phone. Most of my work is on my phone. So it's I understand, and I break it down to my kids and my wife. I break it down yo.
I be telling them too, but I still don't feel like they understand.
They don't understand because my wife understands because she also has business.
Right.
But my kids are still nigga, we need you.
Right.
I'm not right now. You know what I mean?
I've had it all happen. My daughter's trying to get me to watch this, trying to get me to do this, and I'm I'm working, I'm busy. Right. She's you're laying there. What are you talking about? You're not busy? I'm no, I'm busy.
Right.
My mom, she'll be saying the same thing, and I'll be getting so mad because it's they just don't understand.
Yeah.
And I explain it the way that you say it. I explained it to them. I'm yo, I don't want y'all to think that I'm not you know, trying to hang out with y'all, or I'm not, like, I'm just, you know, over here laying on my phone. It looks like that. It does. It looks like that. But if you knew what I was doing and all of the concentration that I was putting into this piece, then, you know, you would understand. But I can't expect them to.
Right.
You
so,
know?
all right. So, what advice would you give to one of your, let's say you're coaching somebody right now, like, what advice would you give them in the journey?
To focus up, you know, figure out their purpose and gain clarity on where they're going. Because, like I said, you know, I just realized this, and I know we talked about it a little bit, but reverse engineering, I feel like that's a huge thing. And I feel like if they're trying to step into this, you know, entrepreneur role, then it's very important to know you don't want to get into something and kind of like every step you go. And there's still some things, because you'll start doing some things and you'll start learning, you know, more things. But I feel like if you have clarity, you know, if you know what your end goal is, where you want to be at, you know, with this business or just in life in general, I feel like that goes with that as well. If you can picture that and you can set a date or a goal, you know, for that, then you can kind of like set littler goals in order to get that. I know someone wise, you know, that I knew for 10 years. And I remember you posted something, you were talking about, you know, going to Miami. And you were saying, you know, if you go to Miami and you're just driving there trying to figure out how to get there, how long is it going to take opposed to you putting it in your GPS? Right. And that was like spot on, because I'm like, yo, that's exactly what it is, you know, that you need to do. You need to kind of figure out where you're going and step by step, because you'll never get there. I've done, you know, an interview, over 35 individuals. I asked them what their fear is, what their biggest fear is in life, you know, and you know, what kind of problems that they're seeing, you know, and what they aspire to be. The biggest problem in their life, or their biggest fear, I should say, was not being successful, not getting to be, you know, the person that they expect themselves to be, not being able to teach their children, you know, what they feel like they need to know in life in order to be successful. And a lot of people aspired to be their own boss. Some people didn't even know what they wanted to do yet, but they wanted to, you know, work for themselves and somehow create a business. And I can tell you now, you know, it all comes down to mindset. You need to figure it out, you know, real fast, you know, what it is that you want to do in order to gain clarity and kind of, you know, section off these little pieces that you need to, you know, these little goals that you need to hit in order to get there, in order to be there at, you know, a good pace, because you will die, you know, unsuccessful, unsatisfied with your life if you don't do that. It's just, it's not going to come to you. You have to actually go and get it.
So for the people that didn't get it, what is reverse engineering?
So reverse engineering is kind of just figuring out what it is that you want to do, and then step by step, you know, proceeding to get there. You don't want to, you know, figure out your game plan. Like, say, teeth whitening. I want to be a teeth whitening technician, you know, but I don't know where I'm going, like the end goal. And then we're just step by step, you know, taking pieces and hoping that, you know, we can scale our business as, you know, as we go. You know, we want to know, all right, I want to be a teeth whitening technician, but I also want to have, you know, franchises, a spa here, a spa there. You know, I want to do speaking engagements. I want to be, you know, those persons that are flied out, those people that are flew out, you know, to kind of do teeth whitenings for, you know, bigger people, you know, with a larger budget, and, you know, just all of that. You want to know what you want to have at the end in order to get there, because I'm telling you, you're never going to be satisfied if you don't kind of know exactly where you want to go. Now, once you get there, you can always add more, but you got to at least have somewhere that you want to go.
Absolutely. All right, so where can the people find you?
So it's Shine Mind Cap on Instagram. That's my personal page. My business page is Shine Mind Whitening. Facebook is Caprielle Finney. So you gonna put a little thing on there, or do I need to spell it out?
You can spell it out, but I'm still gonna put it up.
All right. So a little @ SHINE Mine MINE Cap CAP.
Okay. I want to get that out the way. Now we can talk about what we're doing.
All right. As an educator, once I realized my purpose and that it's not teeth whitening, that I just want to kind of put people in position. I want to be able to teach people. I want to be able to, you know, impact other people's lives. I realized teeth whitening was a good way to do it, a good way to get my foot in the door, but there was not a lot of retention. There was not a lot of people who, were coming back and buying kits. Like, I didn't see a lot of success from, my students, and not because I didn't teach them correctly, but because I don't feel like that was their purpose. That's not their passion. That's not what they really want to do.
Right.
So now when the people come and they ask me about it, I'm like, well, why? Why do you want to do teeth whitening?
Right.
Do you want to do teeth whitening, because you really like, the dental field and this is something that you can see yourself doing? Or do you want to do teeth whitening because I said you can make $85 to $125 an hour?
Right.
Because if you're doing it for the money, then it's not going to, it's not going to end right, just because you have to have like a passion behind what it is that you're doing in order, because it's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be easy. You're not always going to want to deal with this client. You're not always going to want to go into work, and if you don't really actually like what you're doing, then the ball's gonna drop. So now I kind of am focusing on this program where I'm helping like budding entrepreneurs kind of like gain clarity on what it is that they want to do, confidence in themselves, build that winning mindset in order to help them, fast track to success. It's not going to be limited to teeth whitening. It's going to be broader than that. Because I realized that I'm only doing teeth whitening because that's what I did. And that extended, and what I learned, this is the word that I learned in my business boot camp that I'm taking, but a passion project, And so, do you want to share the passion project?
All right, so me and Cap teamed up, and we're putting together this youth program, this youth workshop, and we're going to be teaching our youth, entrepreneurship. We're going to be teaching our youth some other life skills as well. Credit, clarity, something we never had, something, especially living in the city we live in, I've never come across it. When like it's really a strategic focus on teaching the youth entrepreneurship and life skills, like real stuff, the real thing. So we should probably have it up and running maybe like summer, maybe early summer, late spring, something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put this out here now. Anybody got teenagers, either your nephews, your nieces, your kids, cousins, whatever it may be, sign them up. Hit us up if you want more information. We'll get you set up. And we about to make a big change here, so just stay tuned,
I feel like, we kind of hit on everything. It's going to be entrepreneurship. We're going to focus on giving them that winning mindset, teaching them what it is that they need to know in order to, progress in life. Things that they don't learn in school. Like we spoke about before, I feel like they lack teaching you, how there's other ways to make money in life, and you don't have to always go to college. If you want to go to college, cool. But you don't always have to do that. You don't always have to work for the next person, get that 9 to 5 straight out of, high school, because there's different ways to do it, and we know these different ways to do it. So we are very excited to kind of share this with the youth. We're going to have different mentorships, different people coming in to just show them, what else there is that's out there for them.
Absolutely. All right, well, this pretty much wraps up this episode. Make sure y'all comment, like, subscribe, all that sexiness. Do it all. Follow Cap. Check her out. You're still doing teeth whitening, right? Still like doing it? Okay. Yeah, book your appointments. If you want to get your teeth whitening lessons in, you know what I mean? All that. Hit up Cap. And yeah. Make sure y'all follow, make sure y'all like, make sure y'all comment, make sure y'all subscribe, make sure y'all share, make sure y'all tell y'all mamas, make sure you tell everybody, cousins, baby mamas, kids. I told mine. Tell them to come subscribe, tell them to come watch, tell them to come learn something, you know what I mean? Make sure you follow all the people who are on this platform. Make sure you check out their websites, their Instagrams. Make sure you check out my website, my Instagram. All that should be below, hotheads.com. If you're interested in advertisement, if you're interested in sponsoring, if you're interested in being on the podcast, reach out. You know what I mean? You can reach out by email. You can reach out by Instagram. You can reach out on the website. However way, reach out. Let me know.